Hello students. Today we are going to discuss a fresh chapter, People as Resource. The chapter, People as Resource, is an effort to explain population as an asset for the economy rather than a liability. Population becomes human capital when there is investment made in the form of education, training, and medical care. In fact, human capital is the stock of skill and productive knowledge embodied in them. Investment in human capital through education, training, medical care yields a return just like investment in physical capital. This can be seen directly in the form of higher incomes earned because of higher productivity of more educated or the better trained persons, as well as the higher productivity of healthier people. For many decades in India, a large population has been considered a liability rather than an asset. But the large population need not be liability. It can be turned into productive asset by investment in human capital. For example, by spending resources on education and health for all, training of industrial and agricultural workers in the use of modern technology, useful scientific researches, and so on. India's IT revolution is a striking instance of how the importance of human capital has come to acquire a higher position than that of material, plant, and machinery. We can easily understand the importance of education with the help of two stories, story of Shagal and story of Vilas. With the help of these two stories, we can easily understand the importance of education. Story of Shagal and Vilas. In your textbook, page number 17 and 18, there are two stories, the story of Shagal and story of Vilas. On the basis of these two stories, we can understand the importance of education. In the two case studies, we saw Shagal went to school and Vilas did not go. Shagal was physically strong and healthy. He did not need to visit the doctor frequently. Vilas was a patient of arthritis. He lacked the means to visit the doctor. Shagal acquired a degree in computers. Shagal found a job in the private firm while Vilas continued with the same work as his mother. He earned a major income like his mother to support a family. In the case of Shagal, several years of education added to the quality of labor. This enhanced his total productivity. Total productivity adds to the growth of the economy. This in turn plays an individual through salary or in some other form of his choice. In the case of Vilas, there could not be any education or health care in the early part of his life. He spends his life selling fish like his mother. Henceforth, he draws the same salary of unskilled labor as his mother. Investment in human resources like education and medical care can give high rates of return in the future. This investment on people is the same as investment in land and capital. One invests in shares and bonds expecting higher return in the future. A child too, with the investments made on her education and health, can yield a higher return in future in the form of higher earnings and a greater contribution to the society. Educated parents are found to invest more heavily on the education of their child. This is because they have realized the importance of education for themselves. They are also conscious of proper nutrition and hygiene. They accordingly look after their children needs of education at school and good health. A vicious circle is thus created in this case. In contrast, a vicious circle may be created by disadvantaged parents who themselves, uneducated and lacking in hygiene, keep their children in a similarly disadvantaged state. Now we are going to discuss about the economic activities done by men and women. What are the economic activities done by men and women? Economic activities are mainly classified into two categories. There are classification on the basis of nature of activity and classification based on the purpose of activity. On the basis of nature of activity, they are classified into three: primary sector, secondary sector, and tertiary sector. On the basis of purpose of activity, they are classified into two: market activities and non-market activities. The primary sector activities includes agriculture, animal husbandry, fishing, poultry farming, and mining. Secondary sector activities includes quarrying and manufacturing. Tertiary sector activities includes trade, transport, communication, banking, insurance, education, healthcare, and tourism. The second category, market activities, includes agriculture, manufacturing, selling, and services. The non-market activities includes small-scale agriculture, fishing, gathering jungle produce, and cooking. Due to historical and cultural reasons, there is a division of labor between men and women in the family. Women generally look after the domestic chores and men work in the fields. Shagal's mother, Sheila, cooks food, cleans utensils, washes clothes, cleans the house, and looks after her children. Shagal's father, Bhutta, cultivates in the field, sells the produce in the market, and earns money for the family. Sheila is not paid for the services delivered for upbringing of the family. Bhutta earns money which he spends on rearing his family. Women are not paid for services delivered in the family. Their work is not accounted in the national income, which is a sum total of goods and services produced in a country. Geeta, mother of Vilas, earned an income by selling fish. Thus, women are paid for their work when they enter the labor market. Their earnings, like that of their male counterpart, is determined on the basis of education and skill. Education helps individual to make better use of the economic opportunities available before him. Education and skill are the major determinants of the earning of any individual in the market. A majority of the women have meager education and low skill formation. Women are paid low compared to men. Most women work where job security not there. Various activities relating to legal protection is meager. Employment in this sector is characterized by irregular and low income. In this sector, there is an absence of basic facilities like maternity leave, child care, and other social security systems. However, women with high education and skill formation are paid at par with the men. Among the organized sector, teaching and medicine attract them the most. Some women have entered the administrative and other services, including which need high levels of scientific and technological service. Quality of the population is an important factor. Quality of the population depends on education and health. Quality of the population depends on education, healthcare, and training. Why is education important for you? Education was an important input for the growth of a person. It opened new horizons for him, provided new aspirations, and developed values of life. Education contributes towards the growth of society also. It enhances the national income, cultural richness, and increases the efficiency of governance. There is a provision made for providing universal access, retention, and quality in elementary education with a special emphasis on girls. In your textbook, page number 21, there's a graph. Graph 2.1 shows the literacy rates in India. The plan outlay on education has increased from Rs 151 crore in the first plan to Rs 43,825 crore in the 10th plan. The expenditure on education as a percentage of GDP rose from 0.64% in 1951-52 to 3.98% in 2002-3. The literacy rates have increased from 18% in 1951 to 65% in 2001. Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan is a significant step towards providing elementary education to all children in the age group of 6 to 14 years by 2010. It is a time-bound initiative of the central government in partnership with the states, the local government, and the community for achieving the goal of universalization of elementary education. Along with it, bridge courses and back-to-school camps have been initiated to increase the enrollment in elementary education. Midday meal scheme has been implemented to encourage attendance and retention of children and improve their nutritional status. These policies could add to the literate population of India. With the help of Table 2.1, we can easily understand the number of institutions of higher education, enrollment, and faculty. What is health? Why is your health important? The health of a person helps him to realize his potential and the ability to fight illness. An unhealthy person becomes a liability for an organization. Indeed, health is an indispensable basis for realizing one's well-being. Overall well-being includes improve accessibility to healthcare, prepare and launch family welfare programs, offer nutritional guidance especially for the poor. How do you judge the health of a population? With the help of these indicators, we can easily understand the health of a population. Life expectancy, infant mortality rate, birth rate, and death rate. Infant mortality rate is the death of a child under 1 year of age. Birth rate is the number of babies born, therefore, every 1,000 people during a particular period of time. Death rate is the number of people per 1,000 who die during a particular period of time. Table 2.2 shows the growth of health infrastructure facilities in India over the years.
What is unemployment? What are the different types of unemployment? How the unemployment affect the life of people?
What is unemployment? Unemployment is said to exist when people are willing to work at the going wages cannot find jobs. In case of India, we have unemployment in rural and urban areas. However, the nature of the unemployment differs in rural and urban areas. In case of rural areas, there is seasonal and disguised unemployment. Urban areas have mostly educated unemployment. Unemployment exists when a person 15 to 59 years of age who is willing to work at acceptable wages cannot find jobs. Seasonal unemployment. Seasonal unemployment happens when people are not able to find jobs during some months of the year. People dependent on agriculture usually face such kind of problem. There are certain busy seasons are sowing, harvesting, weeding, threshing is done. Certain months do not provide much work to the people dependent on agriculture. Disguised unemployment. In case of disguised unemployment, people appear to be employed. They have agricultural plot where they find work. This usually happens among family members engaged in agricultural activity. If the work requires the service of 5 people but engages 8 people, 3 people are extra. These 3 people also work in the same plot as 5 people. If the contribution made by the 3 extra people does not add to the contribution made by the 5 people. If 3 people are removed, the productivity of the field will not decline. If the field requires the service of 5 people and the 3 extra people are disguised unemployed. Educated unemployment. In case of urban areas, educated unemployment has become a common phenomenon. Many youth with matriculation, graduation and post-graduation degrees are not able to find job. A study showed that unemployment of graduate and postgraduate has increased faster than among matriculates. Social effects of unemployment. Unemployment leads to wastage of manpower resource. People who are an asset for the economy turn into a liability. There is a feeling of hopelessness and despair among the youth. People do not have enough money to support their family. Inability of educated people who are willing to work to find gainful employment implies a great social waste. Unemployment tends to increase in economic overload. Hence, unemployment has detrimental impact on the overall growth of economy. Increase in unemployment is an indicator of a depressed economy. In case of India, statistically, the unemployment rate is low. A large number of people represented with low income and productivity are counted as employed. Moreover, the employment structure is characterized by self-employment in the primary sector. The whole family contributes the field even though not everybody is really needed. So there is a disguised unemployment in the agriculture sector. Let us discuss about the employment scenario in the three sectors mentioned earlier. Agriculture is the most labor-absorbing sector in the economy. In recent years, there has been a decline in the dependence of population on agriculture, partially because of disguised unemployment discussed earlier. Some of the surplus labor in agriculture has moved to either the secondary or the tertiary sector. In the secondary sector, small-scale manufacturing is the most labor-absorbing. In case of the tertiary sector, various new services are now appearing like biotechnology, information technology, and so on.
Now we are going to discuss the story of a village. With the help of this story, we can easily understand how a agricultural society changed into rich and modern one.
Let us read the story of village and we can understand how people could become an asset for the economy of a village.
There was a village inhabited by several families. Each family produced enough to feed its members. Each family met its needs by the members making their own clothes and teaching their own children. One of the family decided to send one of its sons to an agricultural college. The boy got its admission in the nearby College of Agriculture. After some time, he became qualified in agro-engineering and came back to the village. He proved to be so creative that he could design an improved type of log which increased the yield of wheat. Thus, a new job of agro-engineer was created and filled in the village. The family in the village sold the surplus in the nearby neighboring village. They earned good profit which they shared among themselves. Inspired by this success, all the families after some time held a meeting in the village. They all wanted to have better future for their children too. They requested the Panchayat to open a school in the village. They assured the Panchayat that they would all send their children to school. The Panchayat, with the help of government, opened a school. A teacher was recruited from a nearby town. All the children of this village started going to school. After some time, one of the families gave training to his daughter in tailoring. She started stitching clothes for all the families of the village, for everyone now wanted to buy and wear well-tailored clothes. Thus another new job, that of a tailor, was created. This had another positive effect. The time of the farmers in going far for buying clothes was saved, as the farmers spent more time in the field. The yield of the farms went up. This was the beginning of prosperity. The farmers had more than they could consume. Now they could sell what they produced to others who came to their village markets. Over time, this village, which formerly had no job opportunities in the beginning, had many like teacher, tailor, agro-engineer, and many more. This was the story of a simple village where the rising level of human capital enabled it to evolve into a place rich with complex and modern economic activities. Thanks for watching the video.